welcome to a FACEHAMMER book review. And we're going to be talking about them crazy witches, because witches be crazy. The Daughters of Khaine. So thanks very much, Games Workshop, for sending us a review copy.
It makes it much easier.
So obviously this is one of the ones that hasn't been leaked, so that's quite good. So this video should be going up on release, and we'll do what we normally do. If people are new to the channel, we go through the book, we talk about what stuff does from a matched play point of view, talk about our opinions, look for some synergy, talk about anything that might be useful in terms of list build, and give you an overview of what we think about the book and where we think it sits in the meta. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to go through it. So
absolutely, if you're expecting anything about the fluff, they are angry ladies and they like blood, so that's that ticked, and we're going to move on to the rules.
Yeah, you can go check out other channels that do lore rather than fluff, because I know people hate that term. And also I think they've got some Warhammer Plus TV things about Morathi coming, about how she can be in two places at once but not the same, but she's a Shadow Queen but not, which is basically the Broken Realm stuff, I think. So but yeah, so Daughters of Khaine, their third battle tome, if you don't count Broken Realms Morathi, but it feels like they've had four.
Basically, yeah.
So I think we should probably preface this. I haven't really looked at this in depth, so this is kind of new to me as I
first impressions.
So you're going to get sort of raw impressions.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
We got told off our first impressions about Nurgle, and we were completely right. So bear that in mind, guys. Like,
piece of rubbish. Who takes?
Yeah, these are awful.
Well, you're never going to see him. You're never going to see him.
Yeah, I had a chat with Vince about this on the weekend. Got to see him in person, which is lovely. I love Vince.
Oh, he was over, was he? Cool.
Yeah. And he was saying that he wasn't bagging on them, but he wasn't big on them, and now he's like, so yeah, like we're coming from a pretty informed, fairly qualified standpoint with this stuff, even if it is our first impressions. So, keep things constructive. Generally, people do. It's awesome. Let us know if you've got different opinions and why, not just, a stream of vitriol and hate.
Although that might be appropriate for this battle tome.
Let's see. I'm going to be frank, I'm worried because I have an extremely high opinion of I thought Nurgle was great for internal balance, and like probably the most internally balanced book released in AOS, period. I don't think that's an extreme statement. It's really internally balanced. 90% of the stuff in there is, I like that model. You can use it in an army. It's not awful.
Yeah, maybe every battle tome's got some stuff you never see, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think
I love the controversial opinion. I think the Slaanesh battle tome's the most internally balanced because it's all shit. No, I'm kidding.
It's all.
Some
of the comments
like, no, don't take the piss out of my blood.
And then there's the rest of it in the bottom 5%
and everything else. Yeah,
of validity.
Hellstriders like Sigvald and everything else get in the bin.
But they're not that alive. So yeah, like the Nurgle, I have a really high opinion of. Fire Slayers, I really like. Deacon, we both really like. We liked all of them. Like, there's been a lot of very, very solid books, which I hope are a sign of how things are going to be to come. And Daughters, they were good, and they've kind of historically had like spam units. They've always been very good. I don't think you could drop that too much without the internet exploding. So
I think if you
we're going to find out
Daughters on release, there's never a point when your army hasn't been at least A tier, I would say.
It's a really good summation.
So like, you've basically always been AOS. Really, you've never really been B. Some people might argue that, but they're wrong.
They are.
So
they've been amazing.
I remember the bell curve of just Daughters players finishing in the top third of a tournament, and it was so skewed like this, whereas like others are like normal. The distribution was so skewed to the positive.
This book in the hands of a good player, as is always the case, but this book in the hands of a good player has been a force to be reckoned with for like 4 or 5 years. Well, just for all of AOS, basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
shooting matters heavy. Take a different temple. Like,
there's still a competitively relevant list now.
Yeah, for sure.
With Morathi and Bow Snakes, which I know people might say, "Oh, it's really boring because that's the only list." It's like, it's not really. It's just that it's that much better than the others, because
that's the tweakiest list.
I remember that even having a conversation with someone who was saying that Doomfire Warlocks were rubbish, and I'm like, no, they're not. It's just everything else in the book is really good.
I remember this one. We won't repeat.
We won't name names.
My summation.
Yeah.
Or my response.
You're wrong. Was I think the summation.
Yeah, it was. It was eloquently put.
Yeah, as in, what are you doing? No.
Yeah, as in like any destruction army in the world would take 2 units of warlocks.
They would sell their right squig for that. I mean, if Gloomspite Gits could have a war scroll like that, they would literally bite your mushroom off.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Daughters of Khaine. We go into the battle traits. So you've got your temples, which obviously before were formations. Then if they in the current book, you have to take certain artifacts. That's all gone. So you just take them, a bit like the AELF Enclave. So it's kind of like, I would summarize this as a tidy up of the book into AOS 3 with a new hero, essentially. That they're not reinventing the wheel here. It's a bit like the AELF book. It's a lift into AOS 3. No, you definitely don't need to. So they've got a new heroic action as an army allegiance, which is, I think this is the first time we've seen that. So a friendly Daughters of Khaine hero that is not a monster can use this, and you can add 2 to the attacks of melee weapons by that hero until the end of the turn, and it does not affect the hero's mount. But there's no roll, you just get +2 attacks.
Oh.
I don't know how often you'll see it, but there might be a combo. But even like when you think, it's, when you get into the scrappy phase of the game and your Melusai has to get in combat, and you're like,
that's all you've got left. Yeah, so, absolutely. It might help you get that.
Sometimes it's better than having a CP, right? So
for sure,
on a maybe. Also got a new command ability, which is All Out Slaughter. So you can use this when a Daughters of Khaine unit is picked to fight. The unit must be issued by a Daughters of Khaine unit and received by the unit that has been picked to fight. If the modified hit roll for an attack made by that unit is a 6, it does 2 hits instead of 1, make a wound and save for each. So pretty good because it's an offensive one. So if you've got All Out Attack and you've got All Out Slaughter, so you get an extra offensive command ability. So obviously that helps because you can't do it on more than 1 unit, but at least you've got 2 to pick from for 2 different places.
Yeah, for sure.
Not equivalent, obviously, but kind of makes so. The whole army's got a 6-up ward because obviously they're really squishy. So
that's some very, very heavy duty underwear they're wearing.
Yeah. And then the Daughters of Khaine units gain the Blood Rights ability, which is kind of like the original chart, but they've lost all rerolls. So rather than reroll 1s, it's add 1 to run rolls, then it's add 1 to charge rolls, then it's add 1 to hit rolls, then it's add 1 to wound rolls, and then it's a 5-up ward in the last turn.
I'm really down with all of that because that's more predictable and less OP.
Well, there's also like nothing worse than when they're rolling their buckets of dice and you just sat there as they reroll after reroll after reroll after reroll. You actually lose track of, was that the hit? Was that the wound? Was that? I mean, like, I remember the old days where it was like 2s, reroll 1s, 2s, reroll 1s, 6s split to hit, and then you do an armor save, then you've got a ward save, then when they die on a 5-up, they do a wound back to you, and you're just like, just how many dice rolls for 1 round of combat? You just like,
it's like the Plague Monk warscrolls, just not needed, is it?
Just not needed.
Add 1 to charge is predictable, helpful, and isn't nearly as potentially OP as reroll 1s to charge.
And that reroll 1 used to really annoy me because it's like you roll 2 dice, you roll a 5 and a 1, you reroll the 1, you get a 9, you're like,
filthy.
Yeah. So
I'm down.
Yep. So
kind of expected, but very welcome.
Yep. There are ways to advance the table and stuff, which we'll talk about. You got command traits. So these are just Daughters of Khaine hero. So any hero, obviously except Morathi, because she's unique. So Arcane Mastery, Wizard only. The whole lore. Great command trait. I wish I had access to that in some other books.
In any book.
If they had that in Deepkin and my Aspect of the Sea could know the whole lore, I would take that.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Watch that in Stormcast.
Yeah, their lore's amazing.
It's really good.
Then you've got Bathed in Blood. In combat phase, each time an enemy model slain by your general's attack can heal a wound. Yeah, I won't see that one. Fueled by Revenge, Melusi, Iron Scale only. Once the battle starts the combat phase, you say it will wreak Kane's vengeance. Add 1 to attacks of melee weapons used by Melusi unit wholly within 12 of the general, which is quite good. But I think it used to be, we'll get there when we get there, I think it used to be just a thing they got when Morathi was in combat, where she might still have it, so but it's almost like a mini Morathi Shadow Queen buff, I should say. This next one is pretty insane. If the general issues Rally, you can return a slain model on a 4 instead of a 6. So general on a Cauldron, hordes of witch elves rallying on thing.
Yep.
So pretty good.
Grindy, different type, less offensive, more long term.
Then Master of Poisons, so any wounds allocated to models, pick one of those models, they take d6 mortal wounds. In the phase, right? Okay, so if you cause a wound, then at the end of the phase they take d6 mortal. So it's actually quite good.
It is, yeah. If you hit something, you're going to do at least 1 wound to it. Could be 6, probably do 3. Solid.
Then the Overseer, after generals fought for the first time in the combat phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds caused by the general's attacks, the general is reveling murder. The general is reliving murder. It can fight for the second time in the phase. The strike last effect is fight twice, basically.
Fight twice, but one of them's at the end of the phase. Yeah. Like Bone Splitters used to have when they had balls.
Yeah. And then True Believer, add 1 to the current battle round when determine the abilities gained by the general by the battle trait. So, I mean, if you're on a Cauldron, it might be good, but
yeah, better mid game. Not going to affect things early. And
it's always been the same with Daughters, though.
Yeah.
Then we've got Artifacts. So
first one is Bloodbane Venom. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. After the bearer fights, if any wounds caused by attacks made by the weapon in that phase are allocated to any model and it hasn't been slain, roll a dice equal to or greater than the model's wounds characteristic. That model is slain. Quite a lot of ifs in there. Kill a small thing that you didn't already, which you're likely to have already killed already. Probs don't take it.
Yeah. Too many. It's too situational.
Chrome Blade is next. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack, maybe that weapon is a 6, you can heal 1 wound allocated to the bearer after all the bearer's attacks have been resolved. Obviously better on things that have more wounds, where you have more chances to do it.
There's a bit of synergy with that +2 attack heroic action as well.
Yeah, I guess so. You could have a swingy phase.
Because I think the Cauldron woman, they got quite a lot of attacks, so like you could be rolling. Like, I mean, you only can get 1 or 2 wins back. I don't think it's really worth it. But Crown of Woe is good though.
Yeah, I've already read the first sentence. Probably is going to be good, isn't it? Enemy units cannot receive rally or inspiring presence while they are within, not wholly within, 9 of the bearer. In addition, if any models are slain by wounds caused by the bearer's attacks, increase the range of this ability to 15 for the remainder of the battle. Yeah.
I mean, when you've got hordes of witch elves and you've got a Cauldron, and then the Cauldron is basically stopping you using inspiring presence, it's gonna, anyone who's got lots of infantry is gonna struggle.
Well, in the center, that's like 2/3 of the board.
I mean, lucky at the moment the meta's not really lots of infantry, but obviously with Daughters of Khaine, it would be really good in the mirror. So if you played against a Daughters army and you had that and they didn't, they would be in a lot of trouble. So,
I rally on 4+. No, you don't.
Yeah, you don't rally at all, and you don't even get to pass your battle shock.
At least that's obviously a winner. Rune of Kane is the last one. The first time the bearer is slain, the bearer can fight before they are removed from play. I think Crown of Woe seems like a winner there. Yeah,
I mean there are more. I don't know why they've split them into different things, because they're not restricted by. Oh, they are wizard and priest. It's the Nighthawk ones that aren't. So
yes, you got the wizardy ones next. Got a Crystal Heart. When the bearer attempts to cast a spell that summons an endless spell, the range of that spell is doubled. Pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean,
if you had a specific one or a plan.
you might have a combo with it, but
they've not historically been an army that really needs them, have they? They're just about buffing their
they don't have a
ladies.
lot of wizards. They generally have Morathi, and that's it.
Yeah, she's not a bad wizard, but she can't take this. So
no.
Sevenfold Shadow. Once per battle in your movement phase, instead of making normal move the bearer, you can remove the bearer from the battlefield and set them up again anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 from all enemy units. Powerful, but more powerful on things that aren't little casters.
They do have that AoE stare attack though, so that could be quite good because it's 12 inches, I think, and then it's a 5 up mortal wound to every model within range. Okay. So if you teleported 9 away, then you measure 12, and then you go, oh, suddenly I can hit like 20 of your infantry, 20 dice, 5 up mortals.
Could be really tasty.
It could be quite a nice combo.
Also, they're a fast army, so you can absorb that model. If it feels like it's been put out on its own, you can often sweep. You just go over it like a tide. You don't have to
do it turn 1. Basically, you could do it turn 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Shadow Stain's the final one. Add 1 to casting rolls for the bearer if they attempt to cast spells from the Law of Shadows. +1's casting. Fairly solid.
Very good, yeah. It's good that it says Law of Shadows, so if you did like Mystic Shield, Bolt, or an Endless Spell, you can get it. So
nice touch, for sure. I got a couple of the priests. You can pick 1 extra prayer for the bearer from the prayers of Kane. We'll see if they're good, I guess. Kane pendant. Once per battle, before you chant a prayer, you can say they'll call upon blah blah. It's automatically made. That is obviously depending how good they are. Not having to roll for stuff.
Getting it on the key turn. It's almost like sometimes you're like, I must get this prayer off this turn. Oh, I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Base team.
It's interesting, yeah. So we'll see. I've got these the wrong way around for your book, so I'm on prayers now. So probably a good one. You've got Catechism and Murder on a free, range of 14. Pick 1 Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within range, visible, to a next hero phase. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack by a melee weapon is a 6, it scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1. So that's the same as the command ability. So
exactly.
Obviously, you can't double those up because only 1 would take effect. I know that some people might already be thinking that, but you can't.
Hit multiple units.
Yeah, but you could do that 1 unit, use the command ability on another unit.
Have an entire army just doing exactly the same thing, basically.
And then you've got the Blessing of Kane, which is re-rolling their Fanatical Faith saves. Oh, I'll just check actually, because Fanatical Faith used to be against. Oh no, that's the bonus from the Cauldron. It only wasn't against mortal wounds, but anyway, I'll check that.
Yeah, Fanatical Faith just the 6-up ward, which
I mean, re-roll your ward's good.
Although technically, given how it's written, the turn 5 ward isn't a Fanatical Faith ward.
Is it not?
That needs clarifying. It just says friendly Daughters of Khaine units have a ward of 5+. It doesn't say they're Fanatical Faith warders.
That's true.
That could be. That should be clarified. Obviously, there's some intent there, but that's
I mean, if you get to turn 5 and they've got that prayer on a unit, that's you're probably like losing at that point, right?
That'd be grim. Oh yeah, sweet. This feels old school.
Be like, but Martyr Sacrifice on a free, range of 14. Pick a Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within range, visible. Each time model is slain, before the model's slain, pick an enemy within 3. On a 5-up, they take a mortal wound, so it's the wound bounce back when they die. Then you've got a heal, which is D3 wounds. Again, it's 14 again. I don't know why it's 14, but they all seem to be 14. At least it's consistent. And then you've got down with consistency. Then Covenant of the Iron Heart, answer on a free. If the prayer's answer, pick 1 for any Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within range visible. It did not take battle shock, obviously good.
I get you. Let's do it in 2 places at once, or you can save CPs if they're valuable.
Yeah. Because I think the immune to battle shock's gone off the Hag brew, so I don't know if it was. I probably think it lost it in Broken Realms, but I can't remember. Sacrament of Blood is on a free. 1 Daughters of Khaine unit wholly within range to an next hero phase. Add 1 to the number of the battle realm and determine the abilities from the Blood Rights battle trait. So obviously that's quite a good one.
And get yourself to your
get your witches on 2s and 2s with your gladiatrix. obligatory 2 times gladiatrix in every army. But yeah. Better get those box sets, boys. Get the Arena of Shades.
At least only 100 points.
So they're basically the same as what they have been. They're not really much different from what I know. There might be some nuances, but really they're the same in my opinion. Someone's going to tell me how wrong I am now, but anyway. And we've got spells. So Steed of Shadows gives you a movement of 16 and fly.
Great, cast on 6.
Great on a cauldron. Like if you're on the Bloodrack Shrine, I should say. It is just the caster, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Pit of Shades. Range of 18. Enemy unit within range, roll 2d6. If it's higher than unit's move, it suffers a number of mortal wounds to the difference. Can be quite good on low movement stuff. But it's probably not going to be that effective. Like, because you know what happens, you just roll low, right? So
you're not picking that.
Even if you roll 7, it's 3 mortal wounds to a movement 4 unit, and most things are movement 5 plus. Yeah. And then Mirror Dance. Pick 2 Daughters of Khaine heroes that are wholly within range, visible to the caster, and more than 3 from enemy units. Remove those heroes from the battlefield. Set up each model again within 1 of the location it was occupied by the other model before it was removed.
Heroes, yeah.
Yeah, I think the current one is like a teleport, so I don't think that is that good. I think the current one is you just put them 9 away from the enemy anywhere on the table. So that seems a bit of a nerf. Doesn't seem very useful.
Probably good that they don't have too many things like that because their book's full of right.
Does it say you can't move in the next hero if it doesn't? Does it?
Yeah, good. But no, good point. So that's a real plus actually. Because they're fast.
So you can move after doing that.
Yeah.
So that could be useful. I mean, like if you want the Shadow Queen across the other side of the board.
Yeah, just because you can mullet something from Morathi without combat and then swap it with something else. Nice option, but
movement's movement, right? So
yeah, always. Well, especially if you can do that and then have a Morathi level move. That's basically it'd be like 40 inches across the table or something.
Then you've got the Withering. Range of 18 on a 7. It's quite a high cast. Add 1 to wound rolls. Target the unit. So, and that's not melee. That's just.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you're targeting units. That's period, and
that affects your allies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a really, really good allies pool. Like really, probably one of the best in the game.
Yeah, most of these order armies do.
They got a hard life, haven't they?
Then we've got on an 8. It's quite a high cast level. Pick a Daughters of Khaine at wholly within range. Improve the rend by 1, and add 1 to the damage if it charges.
All out.
Which I don't know how different that is to now. Is that the same?
Was there something to do with bravery or something like that?
I think that was the one before, because they've had like 3 iterations. I'll just double check the old book.
No worries. I'll read Shroud of Despair while you're hunting. So the next one is Shroud of Despair. Casting value of 4, super cheap, range of 18. Pick 1 enemy unit within range and visible. Subtract 1 from the unit's bravery until your next hero phase. If the casting roll is an 8, plus subtract D3 from the unit's bravery.
It's exactly the same. Like Mind Razor is the same. Shroud of Despair is the same. Withering's exactly the same. Mirror Dance is different. Pit of Shades exactly the same. Steed of Shadows exactly the same. The only difference is Mirror Dance.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at this book before, like, there's not much that needs fixing.
Well, everyone just takes Mind Razor anyway, right? So,
and you don't have more than
which is Morathi. She knows the whole lore, I think, the little one, but you take Mind Razor if you have a wizard because
redundancy.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then we've got the Covens. So we've got Calibron, which is use this command ability at the end of your movement phase, issued by a Calibron hero. The unit received must be a Calibron unit. Remove the unit from the battlefield and set up more than 9 from enemy units. So there's your teleport with your.
It's unrestricted.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like, do you have hero? Do you have Calibron unit? Put it somewhere.
Yeah. The only difference is you can't teleport a unit with the champion, basically. So you need to have a hero. But I think they used to have the -1 to hit from shooting, but you know, people will tell me I'm wrong. Then you've got the Crave. Now I think some of these will change your battle line as well. So I believe there's some strange wording on the Crave. Make sure I get the right book here. Is it not that different? So we've got oh no, it's a Drake Ganef. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll Khaine Shadow Stalkers are battle line in a Calibron army. They're the teleporty dudes. So the Crave is after a Crave Sisters Slaughter unit has fought for the first time in the combat phase, roll a dice on a 4+, they can fight for a second time in that phase with strike last.
Good ability.
Yeah, I just don't think you'll see. Look, if you're going to take the other, Calibron's already very powerful. I'm not sure, without any benefit to your battle line or anything, I'm not sure it's worth. Then you've got the Zainfar Kai. Each time a model in a Zainfar Kai Melusa unit is slain, it can fight before it's removed. I think that's really strong.
That is really strong.
A Bloodstalkers and Blood Sisters are battle line.
Unrestricted.
In a Zainfar Kai army, or if the generals are Melusa. So I just really like that, because if you're leaning into fighting snakes, you could charge, fight, they kill you, you fight again. It's just an extra activation.
It's not in the combat phase. So if someone shoots you while you're in combat with their unit and you die, you get to hit the thing that you're next to. Yeah. Pretty cool.
And I'm sure fight is pile in and attack, because that's what fighting is in the core rule.
It is, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Then we've got I've done this in the wrong order, sorry. Got to ask about face. So Hagnar, which is the kind of the poster child of the temples, which is add 1 to the number of the battle round with the blood rights. This is cumulative of other similar abilities. So obviously, like, there's a prayer that gives you +1.
Start on 2s and 2s, ladies.
So you could go to +1 to hit on the first battle round if you put the prayer on as well. Second battle round.
Real good thing re-rolling ones a thing anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the issue is the gladiatrix, really, but we'll talk about that. I think there's a Hag on Cauldron of Blood. If your Hagnar army can include 1 Cauldron of Blood in addition to the other Behemoths units it can include. Not quite sure why you'd ever get close to having more than 4 Behemoths, but if you wanted to take 5 Cauldrons, you could. So, well, Morathi and 4 Cauldrons and have no army, but I don't know why that. I don't think that ever is going to come into play.
That'd be interesting.
I can't see. Oh, wait a minute. Are avatars Behemoths? Yes, they are. So avatars are Kane. You might do in that case, because they're really, really good now. Then you've got I'll say this really badly, but Draichai Ganef improve the rend of melee weapons by witch elves and sisters sorted by 1 if they charge.
Pretty good.
And also, if you have a Draich Ganef army, you can include 1 reinforce or double reinforce unit of witch elves in addition to the other reinforced units, so it doesn't count towards your reinforcement points.
Spam.
So you can have 3 units of 30 witch elves in a Draich Ganef army.
That's what we need in Warhammer.
Just what we wanted. We wanted that back, right?
Yeah, we did.
That was definitely what we wanted. Keltnar, you can retreat and still charge. Obviously, a bit of a shame you've lost the 3-unit harpies, and because you've lost the traits, the special abilities. Look, if it is command ability, there was an artifact, command trait, all that's gone. So there's no 3-unit of harpies, but retreat and charge is still extremely strong for just Morathi, really. She can't get pinned and she can kill what she wants.
They're a fast army. That just makes that really double down on it in general.
Yeah. So depending on your build, but I think Dreichi Ganef or Hagnar are very strong. I really like Calibron just for the movement. Also make Shadow Stalkers battle line, which is good.
Not a good one, was there? 4 really good ones there. That's all right.
So that's the temples. I like Kaltnar because I like movement and I like movement shenanigans. It's kind of why I like playing Deepkin. But yeah, I think Hagnar stands out. Always does. Dreichi Ganef stands out as well. The only one I don't see being taken is the Crave. But
so really, I mean, to have 5 there and 3 of them be badasses, fill your boots.
Yeah, I mean, all good. So Morathi, I don't think she's changed at all since Immortal Realms. Someone who plays the army might notice a very small thing. So she still get the 2 models. You've got like the 6 wounds, 4 up save on the foot one. She's got Heart Render, Bladed Wings, so -1 to hit her. She's a War Master. Then it's the same thing. You cut 3 wounds maximum allocated to the Shadow Queen. So it all kind of, people who know Morathi know Morathi. She's got a command ability, which can be issued by this unit to a Daughters of Khaine unit. They can shoot or fight if it's within 3, which she's got already. Black Horror does what it does, so I think she's identical. The Shadow Queen, I think the difference here, I think her, like, you know, Heart Render's got 8 attacks, freeze, rend 2 damage free, which I think she is at the moment in Broken Realms. She might have gained extra attacks. I don't know. 12 wounds, 4 up save, you know, can only take 3 in a turn.
She lasts on 4 turns, minimum.
Damage 6 on the tail. I don't know if that was damage D6 before that drops as she gets hurt, but the tail, I think the tail might have been a random damage. I haven't got the Broken Realms book to hand, so, you know, obviously the one that I've got isn't replaced by Broken Realms. I haven't. Oh, no, it wasn't, because it was after Broken Realms, wasn't it? So
she's still a beast.
She's great. Arguably, probably the most auto-include model in Age of Sigmar, if you've got access to her.
Yeah,
I don't think
because of scenarios.
Army without her, because you'll always.
I just don't see why you wouldn't. Like, she's a badass wizard.
Yeah.
Like, she's a badass combat piece. She survives at least 4 turns, and the times when your opponent, you know, they underallocate and they do 2 wounds instead of 3 means that she survives 5. It's brutal.
Yeah, and does she know the whole lore? Oh my god, where would it be? Is a wizard.
She
knows all the spells from Lore of Shadows. So I think currently she doesn't know all the spells. She doesn't know them.
3 spells, so 2 unbinds. Yeah. Just like an all singing, all dancing, force multiplying flotilla that you don't need to protect in the same way that you need to protect other stuff, which is really unique.
No, exactly.
And the model's incredible, both of them. I think
Morathi Shadow Queen looks the same stat-wise. The Envenomed Tail looks like it's got a slightly... She's got lost some of the bracketing. So you did have a bracket of 11+, that's gone now. Which dropped Heart Render down to 4, dropped her move to 6, dropped her tail down to damage 2. That's just gone, that line.
Yeah.
So they've adjusted her, so she actually doesn't bracket until she takes 7 wounds now.
Yeah.
Because she used to bracket at 3 wounds, then at 6 wounds. So she's actually got better because she doesn't bracket. So to make
more
her
offensive.
So basically, you can't bracket her to being worse until she's had 3 turns of taking damage.
Yeah, right.
So actually, she's got better.
Sweet. She needed some help.
Even if nothing else was the same, right? So she's got add 1. It works within 3 of enemies. Add 1 to the attacks of Canary and Melusi against wholly within 18. So there's a thing. I think the book version I've got in my hand is out of date actually. But anyway, the old book is out of date, obviously. But you know, there you go. Then she's got the Iron Heart, so no more than 3 wounds. She can't be auto killed. It just negates everything.
She's a badass lady still.
Yeah. And I think points wise, she's
700.
Nah, 680.
680.
So fine. She's about the same, basically.
Yeah.
She's not really changed much.
Absolutely
got a little bit better. I think the bracketing's a big deal. I think that's a really big deal.
Or just a bit more damage. Why
She
not?
got worse after taking 3 wounds than
Just
6 wounds. And now
YOLO her into the middle. It's a really big difference. Like that happening earlier, not happening earlier in the game is huge.
Blood Shine. So 30 wounds, 5 save. It's got the stare. So the stare is basically you roll a dice for the number of models in the target unit within range on a 5 up the take a mortal, and that's a 12-inch range. So that's what we talked about, the teleport 9 away. How many stuff can you get? So if you got lines of infantry on small bases, you might get quite a lot. I mean, it can do quite a lot of damage, that. And obviously, she's a totem, she's a wizard, which is good. Wound brackets are slightly different, I think. It's quite slow. It's only movement 6, so obviously not very fast. It's got an aura of agony, which is start your hero phase, roll a dice for every enemy unit within 7. If it's equal to or if it's equal to or greater than the aura of agony, they take D3 mortals. So it's like an AoE like ping, which I mean, it's quite nice chip damage if you were fighting on objective with lots of bodies around you that is just picking off doing wounds. It's very good against hordes of infantry. So it's actually like quite good against Nighthaunt, to be honest, some of this stuff. It does mortal wounds on the charge. Start your combat phase, pick a Melusi unit hollow within 12, add 1 to the number of the current battle round with determined abilities gained by the Blood Rights battle trait. So that's
everywhere.
Really good.
It is good.
Because obviously, if you're in Hagnar and you've got the prayer and you've got this and you've got a big unit of combat snakes, you could actually get them at +3 to their battle round, +4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So it's you'd be on battle round 4 in turn 1, basically.
Not too bad.
So, but I don't think you see Blood Shine, so it's nice to see that they've actually got a reason to be taken.
Bit of a boost, yeah.
Enfeebling Foe, pick any unit in range, subtract 1 from wound rolls. So that's really good.
5. Get
on
that.
A 5.
Range of 18.
It's a good spell.
Bargain. Yep.
And she can actually cast. Oh, it's interesting. This was a concept to cast 1 spell and unbind 2 spells.
Not too shabby.
That's strange. That she gets 1 cast but 2 unbind. I don't know if that's an error. That should be 2 and 2. I don't know, but that's a bit unusual to have it that way around. But hey ho, that's what it says. So
magic scales. Anti-magic scales.
Maybe the mirror. The Melusi Iron Scale, which was the hero that was brought out with the Slaanesh box set.
Which we definitely appreciate the hectic aesthetic of.
The carrying all my shopping granny snake. So it's actually got a shoot weapon. I think she does anyway, but 18 inches, freeze, room 1 damage, and in melee, it's pretty good. If it's affected by a spell or end a spell on a 5 up, you can ignore it. Sort of rule that you'll forget because it never really comes up.
Yeah. If someone's targeting this, that's fine.
Yeah. If enemy models are slain by wounds caused by the attacks in the combat phase, add 1 to attacks of friendly Melusi units hollow within 12. At the end of the combat phase, pick an enemy unit within 1. On a 2+, they take a mortal, which is just their gaze attack.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got the Wrath of the Scavborn. You can use the command ability in your charge phase. If this unit is part of your army on the battlefield, the command can only be issued by this unit, and it must be received by Melusi. The unit can attempt to charge even if it ran or shot in the same turn. Obviously, you can charge if you shoot anyway, so it's probably just the run bit that's important.
Speedy though.
But I think you used to get a 2d6 run before, and now you don't. And you don't get to reroll 1s on the run. You get +1. So actually, it's quite limiting that Alpha Strike combat snake unit. I don't think it's quite a thing anymore.
Well, the threat range is just way more controllable.
Bloodrack Medusa on foot, so she's basically the same as the one on the Cauldron. Again, you still got that pick a Melusi unit and give it +1 on the Blood Rights.
Still got Enfeebling Foe.
So does that mean that you could take multiple Melusai and just hit the unit 3 times. I don't see why not. Because it doesn't say...
It doesn't.
Pick any units with this ability or anything like that. It says they're cumulative, so you can stack it. So if you take 3 blood racks...
We only got 6 unbinds.
Yeah. You could actually stack +3 to your combat round on a unit.
It's only 130 points, moves 8, 6 wounds.
It's got a shooty attack that's quite good against infantry.
Yeah.
A little bit of damage.
It's not an awful option.
Good spell.
Having 2 of them. Yeah, having 2 of them. I mean, I guess points will run out if you've got Morathi in there, and maybe hero slots can be taken by other things, but that's definitely not a bad option.
Mm-hmm. She said, how many points was she?
130. I mean, if this wasn't in order, we'd be like, oh my god, that's a bargain. Wouldn't we?
How many is the shrine?
200.
That's quite good. I mean, like...
The shrine? 200, like...
It's always been cheap, because it's not particularly brilliant.
No, I guess it's not fast, but, like, a wizard with 2 unbinds, 13 5-up save wounds, a shooting attack, not dreadful combat profile. Like, yeah, both of those are pretty efficient for their points.
Yeah.
And if you're facing a horde, you're going to feel really good about including them.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're taking a snake army, it's quite nice that you're not just putting hags in to get buffs on your snakes. You want anyway, because you want a priest, but, you know. So you got Morgreth the Bloodied, which is the Underworld's warband. So she was dirt cheap, but obviously not anymore. And she's got the Witch Brew. So start of your hero phase, pick a Daughters of Khaine unit only within 12. Cannot drink it more than once in the same hero phase. Add 1 to the number of the battle round when determine the blood rights ability until the end of the turn. There's no roll. There's nothing. So it's
no probability.
No +1 to wound anymore. No like immune to battle shock. No roll above the battle round or whatever it was, or roll a dice. Automatic. But again, that's another ability. So if you've got a hag and a Medusa, and you're in hag, so you can get to round 5 pretty easily. Actually, looking at this,
priest 185 points for a priest and 4 of her friends. That's got some stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you've got a D3 mortal wound prayer if she's within 3, which not very likely. The Blade Coven, you've got a shooting attack on there, which is 3 shots from the Heartseeker bow. And if you roll a 6, it does a mortal wound. So it's basically like a bow snake. And then they can bounce wounds. They've got the Hagnar keyword, so they would be restricted. But they've also got the Melusai keyword on the Blade Coven. Yeah, interesting. I mean, they're okay. I like the models. They're nice. So, I don't know if that's the right order. I might have gone out of order here, but, you know.
Cauldron of Blood next.
That is what I've got. That's good. It just didn't seem to make much sense. So Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood. So 13 wounds, 5-up save, 10-inch range, shooting attack off of the avatar. I think this used to have the old wake up the avatar, didn't it? So add 1 to chanting rolls for Daughters of Khaine Priest Holy within 9. So that's obviously on 2s then for most of your abilities. Does impact on the charge. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target Daughters of Khaine Holy within range. And that's 18 inches of the blood shield. She's got the Witch Brew, which is the same, and Touch of Death, which is the same. So basically, you've got the blood shield is the big thing, and then obviously you've got an avatar, but there's no like waking the avatar up off the back. It just seems like it's active.
Yeah,
because before they was dormant until round 3, and you had to like do a prayer to wake them up. That's all gone. Yeah, so the avatar just swings 4 attacks, 3 rend, 2 damage, 3.
Not bad.
Blah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, only 270 points. I mean, you'd probably pay that just for the profile of the avatar with the buff, let alone having a shooting attack, having 13 wounds, being a totem. Yeah, it's a totem. Yeah, that's pretty good actually, the Cauldron. I think you're just going to see a return to the Cauldron Witch Elf spam build, which went away.
This is feeling nostalgic.
With Gladiatrix is slotted in. So you've got the Hag Queen, which is on foot, which is essentially the same as the others. I think the Hag Queen is, how many points is she? 110?
110.
So finally out of the 60-point hero she used to be. But
that's 80 or something, didn't she? But a few years too late.
It's okay because the Gladiatrix went down.
Very sad.
So you got the Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. So again, same. Don't have to wait the avatar up. I believe so. If I'm not reading that.
No,
so
can't see it anywhere.
+1 to prayers. Blood Shield, same. So it can unbind a spell in the same as a wizard. Can the other one do that? No. Okay, so she gets an unbind. Command ability. Must be a friendly Daughters of Khaine unit within 3 the enemy the unit can fight. So that's the fight in the hero phase. Ability of that. The Prayer of 3, strike first attack effect applies to this unit in the following combat phase. That's really strong.
That's tasty.
Because you could fight with her, then immediately fight with another unit. So it hits like a truck. I mean, you've got 8 attacks off the Skyanza. I think that's the crew. 4 attacks off the Death Sword. D3 damage. 4 attacks, damage 3. It hits hard. Does mortals on the charge.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be sniffed at.
Not at
especially all. When you're going to be on 2s and 2s pretty easily. With exploding attacks or +2 attacks if you wanted to on the Death Sword with the heroic action.
B15.
Yeah, but really good. Really good.
Lot of Queen on foot.
6 though? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're all movement 6, aren't they?
So she's basically the same as the Rider, but she can still got the command ability. And the Slaughter Queen's 130 points. So.
Yeah.
And the new one, the one that everyone's going to hate, the High Gladiatrix. I don't know why she's got 6 wounds, but she does. 5-up save, 3-inch reach whip, can pile in within 6, has that killing stroke rule, which basically means you can execute something. But really the thing is melee weapons by Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter units wholly within 12 have a wound roll of 3 instead of 4 and a rend of 1 instead of nothing.
Bring back the spam meta. Why not?
So getting basically an extra your wound characteristic. So then if you're in the right battle round, it's buffed anyway. So you're going to be on 2s to wound and you get an extra rend. And if you're in Hargan, if you're getting another rend on the charge, you're going to be at an extra rend of 2. It's like Beasts of Chaos, but fast, running and charging with wards. Yeah. And like that,
and
I know it sounds difficult, but whole within 12. And if you take the Morathi as well. And if you're in like Calibron, maybe you could even teleport her just to be in range to make sure that she's where you need her to be when your unit runs across the table.
Well, for some reason she's gone down to 90 points. So
I've got no idea why. Like, why is my Thrall Master 110? Like, so good.
Why is that 90?
That buff is insane.
We said we thought that the points between that and the Nighthawk character, the bookie spelly random if at the end of the battle, slightly more chance of an if. Dude, they were 100 and 150 respectively. We said they could have been swapped. She's gone down. That is absolute insanity.
And he's gone up.
What?
He's gone up 5 points. I know. It's shocking.
I would love to know what.
Me too.
what logic,
Me too.
maths, subjective, objective, anything justified that.
I can tell you why. What? It's the keywords. So one's got order and one's got death.
Well, I can't.
Order bias. It's order bias, honestly.
My God, this is some extreme order bias. Like two. Why would you not have 2 of those in an army?
Well, you will. If you take if you're using Witch Elves, they're gonna have 2 of those. One, you're gonna have a Hag. You have a Cauldron, Morathi, spam. Done.
My God. We're gonna play with 200 points at the end or something. Yeah, that's like consider if in witchy sistery army consider as 1+, because just ridiculous value.
Yeah,
6 runes just for lols as well.
Yeah, which I don't get. So all the other heroes are 5. Like, why has she got 6? So at least she didn't have a 4-up armor save. That would have really took the
yeah, I literally just checked that just to see in case.
So Sisters of Slaughter, movement of 6, 1 wound, 6-up save. They got 2-inch reach, 3s and 4s, but obviously that could be 2s and 3s, and then 2s and 2s. But if they have a shield, they get a 5-up save instead of a 6. So they lose the knife profile. You can basically have a handmaiden, +1 attack, standard bearer, reroll fail battle shock, and then 1 in 5 can be position. It's run and charge. But these guys have got the 6-inch. I should say these girls really. These girls have got the 6-inch pile in if they're within 6.
Yep.
And can move an extra 3. So basically, they could pile in 6 outside a range of 3. So you're going to be running and then piling in rather than charging.
With a 2-inch reach weapon.
Yeah, so I still don't think you'll see much of these.
135 points for 10 of them in comparison to 115 for the Witch Elves.
Yeah, that's why I don't think you'll see many of them.
Yeah.
And if you've got a bladed buckler, if you roll a 6 to save, then they take a mortal wound. So do damage back. So
yeah.
And then the Witch Elves. So they've got, and the thing is as well, they've got 2 attacks with their knife and 3 attacks off the. Oh no, they've got a paired and a non-paired. Okay. So 3 attacks if they're paired and 2 attacks if they're not. Okay. So if you've got a bladed buckler on a 5-up, it's the same as basically what you've got. They get +1 to wound rolls if it's wholly within 12 of a whole Daughters of Khaine totem. So that's your
be hard.
cauldron, things like that.
The stuff that you're already within range of for your armor save.
Yeah. So, they're already getting a +1 to wound. And then obviously if you've got high gladiatrix, they're wounding on 3s, then it goes to 2s. You don't even need the battle round bonus for that then. I think you'll just get to the turn 3 and everything's gonna be 2s and 2s.
115 points.
Yeah.
6-up ward, 10 wounds. Not a great armor save, but your army kind of helps you out with that a bit anyway.
Well, if you take you think you say that, but if you take the bucklers that are on a characteristic of 5, all out defense is 4 or mystic shield, then you've got
within range.
Or within range of the actual bubble, then that's another +1. So then you're effectively countering rend of 1. So you can still have a 4-up save. If you roll a 6 to save, you do a mortal, and you've got a ward save. So I don't think it's that bad. No, you could have a re-rollable ward save if you really want to.
They're a ridiculous bargain, and you're not going to be punished for or restricted from spamming them if you're in the right tempo.
And run and charge is a big thing, right?
Oh yeah, well I was going to say if the sisters, if their thing was their speed, with it being able to pile in and run and stuff like that, but they just got it anyway, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. So Witch Elves coming back into fashion, because at the moment they're not really seen much because they're not getting immune to battle shock and all that stuff. And
well, get them, blow the dust off, peeps. There's absolutely no reason to not repeat that unit. Spammy.
Then we've got the Khainite Shadow Stalkers. I really like these.
These guys are badass.
Yeah. In the movement phase, instead of making a normal move or retreat, so you can do it out of combat, you can shadow leap, just remove them, put them 9 away.
Yep.
4 armor save.
Yeah. 150 points for 9 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Really unrestricted, basically.
Yeah. Does some attacks. So I think they've got 1 model Shade Queen, Cursed Missiles, Umbral Blades. Okay, so Cursed.
I don't know if you'll find room for these that easily. Like 2 units would be wicked, but I can't see you spending 300 points on that when you've got an army that's such a bargain. I guess we'll see on the price.
I think it depends on how much you have to spend to get buffs. Like
what you need
I can get a hag. I need a cauldron. I need a slaughter queen. I need this. Then you spent like 1,000 points just on buffing the witch house. Whereas if you play like Calibron and you take these as your battle line, and you take Harpies, you take Doomfire, you could have a really interesting army that doesn't touch Witch Elves, doesn't touch snakes.
And it'd still be really good because the points on all of it is
solid.
Yeah.
It won't be top tier, but I still think it'd be very interesting, and it would be quite interesting to see if someone could do well with that.
Yeah, that'd be a techie army.
Their own. I think
that'd be a much more traditional Dark Elf, like bait and flee, shadows. Yeah.
Then you've got the Doomfire Warlocks, movement 14, 2 wounds, 5 up save, shoot and attack. I know it's 4s and 3s with no rend, but still good. Good combat profile. 4 attacks a model. I know there's only a bit of rend, and it's like cheapy damage, but they're a wizard as well.
145 points for a 14-inch move, 10 wound, 5 up save.
Wizard.
Yeah, with a shooting attack and rend on its profile, and enough to possibly take out with its shooting and its combat someone else's wizard. Yes, please.
I think it's just amazing Doomfires.
Yeah, me too. Agreed. The only reason you don't see them is because the rest of the book's such a bargain, and the rest of the book is heavily synergistic. So you take these, therefore you need this, therefore you need this. You put this in, and then you don't have much room after the end to spend 150 on bargain, speedy, resilient wizards with actually a pretty good spell.
Yeah,
as well.
With bolt changing, it's very good.
Yeah, agreed.
So, avatars of Kane on foot. We didn't see these much, did we? 9 wounds, 4 up armor save, movement 9, so fast. Shoot and attack. Avatar sword, 4 attacks, freeze 3, rend 2, damage 3. +1 to chanting rolls. Has a ward of 5 up as well. It counts as a monster for doing monstrous rampages, but can do stomp or smash to rubble. And it cannot be picked as a target for a monstrous rampage. So I actually think for like 50 points, 55 points.
Find it.
It's Avatar, it's right at the top.
Avatar 155.
Yeah, so 155 points for a 9-inch move, 9 wound, 4 up, 5 up, shoot and attack.
Buffing those
4 attacks
rolls.
at rend 2, damage 3 with an AoE buff to your prayers.
That doesn't give away monster points, but behaves like a monster.
Yeah. And it's a totem, so it buffs your witch elves.
Not too shabby.
I actually think you might see these.
First time Referral.
They are a behemoth, but obviously you're probably never going to get to your cap.
Yeah.
But these things they hit really hard, and they are resilient. Like 9 wounds, 4 up save, 5 up ward is nothing. It's not rubbish. They move 9. That's fast. That's really fast.
In this army, yeah.
I think I would be tempted to use the new Eldar avatar.
Look cool,
because it looks cool. Whereas this one's a bit, and it's a statue. It's a shame they don't have a new model for it. But actually, like we saw that the book, maybe the balance has shifted more back to, because I think with Broken Realms it was like Melusai was kind of the go-to, and then like witch elves were just there to be fodder. Then you didn't really see sisters, you didn't see witch elf horde armies anymore. Whereas before it was all about the witch elf horde armies.
Yeah.
You never really saw avatars, Doomfires. So you're like, maybe there's now enough of internal switch you might see these, but again, I think it just takes people time to adapt.
It depends what's left as well. It
depends on whether you want to have an avatar of Kane or you take a cauldron and you get an avatar on the back anyway with the bonuses. But I actually think an avatar on foot is solid. Also, if you wanted to have another witch blob operating independently from the cauldron, but still getting the bonuses.
You might not be able to afford.
Yeah.
Cut price.
But it hits so hard. But the fact you don't have to wake them up anymore and all that, I don't know if that was in the previous book, but I know it was in the original. Just to be that long since I've fought against a cauldron. So Bloodstalkers. So I think these are basically the same.
180 points.
I think they've gone up slightly. They're 170 at the moment. But basically, freeze, Ren 1, 24-inch range, 2 shots, 6 do mortals. Movement 8, it's the same, 2 wounds each, 5 up armor. Is that the same? So yeah, they're basically identical, I think. And we got the Blood Sisters. again, same stat line. Just 2 attacks in melee, freeze, rend 1/1 damage. After it's fought in the combat phase, and all of its attacks have been resolved, pick 1 enemy unit within 1. Roll 1 dice for each model of this unit. For each 2+, they take a mortal wound. So if you've got 10 of them, and the thing about this is you don't need to have them all within 1. It's almost like you could have a string and have 1 touch in, and then you roll and it just does that damage. So that's actually quite powerful because you can pile into something you're not really fighting much, and then mortal wound after you kill the unit. So they seem like they've gotten worse. I don't know whether they used to be damage 2. They just seem underwhelming. I don't know whether that's just. I don't know. Something. Did they lose damage? Oh, they got 3 attacks now, damage 1. Perhaps they had less attacks at damage 2. I don't know. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Someone could tell me. I haven't got my Broken Realms book to hand, so I think, did they change? You have to bear with us, folks. Sorry. It's with like books like this, you look at the profiles and you think they look identical. They probably do the same thing.
3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1. I'm on the app. If that's up to date.
Yeah,
3
they
attacks,
are the same. Yeah.
3s and 3s, rend 1 damage 1. Turns crystal. Yeah, like identical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Or the guys
it's a 3 up for the mortal, not 2 up at the moment.
Okay.
So.
By probability.
But basically, they're the same.
Yeah, 140 points.
Yeah, I think I've always liked a Melusi army, but whether or not you'll see them very much, I don't know. I think it's interesting getting the Blood Right push forward with the Snake Woman character wizard, because I think you never really see that model, so it might be a reason to take it. Kinnerai, I think we covered these when we talked about the box set. I think really the biggest thing about these guys is that they don't have well, actually the Life Takers do.
Yeah, on a 4+.
So the Heart Renders say after this unit shoots, it can make a normal move, so it doesn't need to roll a dice. Whereas the Life Takers say after its fight, roll a dice on a 4, the unit can retreat 6. So they are 50-50, whereas the others were automatic.
I would, predict the others for that. They're not that much worse in. You basically get the same amount of damage. It's just you have to do some of it in the shooting phase. So why wouldn't you be taking the Heart Renders? 95 for the Heart Renders, 90 for Life Takers.
Did they lose their extra rend and stuff on the descent?
Yes, looks like it. Or maybe they'd already lost that. I mean, incredibly flexible, off-table deployment. Yeah.
Because when I played Curry, he used 10 of the combat ones. I don't think I've ever seen them on the table before.
Yeah, he uses them really well.
Yeah.
The more than me.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. So the old ones, yeah, they had were
they damaged 2 on a charge or something, the old ones?
I'm sure they did. The Descent to Battle, it said, it said Death on the Wind, add 1 to damage of its barbed sickles, include its rend if it made a charge in the same turn.
Yeah. So they got a little bit of a debuff. Still amazing. 1995 points for an off-table deployment. Especially the Heart Renders.
Quite a big deal losing Death from above.
Yeah, I think so.
And they
were too good for their points.
They don't have the mortal wound bounce on the shields anymore either.
No, I'm quite happy with that because they were just too much of a bargain. So nice to see them being.
But it is a bit strange that they've got that they have the bladed shield like the others, and they don't do the mortal wound bounce, and they don't like the combat ones. Why would you ever take those now?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
No, because you get
half their attacks at range.
Yeah, you get they're slightly worse. You got 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage 1 instead of 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, 5 attacks, 4s and 4s.
But you get a guaranteed move.
You get guaranteed move,
which is the important bit, because that's what you do is drop down, move on to an objective.
Unless you hop over someone, doesn't tie you to being in combat or anything. Yeah, Heart Renders still dead good.
Yeah, I mean, they are good. You might see less of them now, but 95 points. So Life Takers are slightly cheaper as well. So It's a shame. I actually quite like the fact they had a use of going in doing damage because they are really fragile. They do damage.
Yeah, I like that. I thought they were a techie piece.
Anyway, still good. I mean, if you could have a 90-point unit that had a 14-inch move, could go in reserve, drop down, move after it drops, and
if that's a destruction player, and just watch him
you would take it.
Weep for joy. Yeah, imagine that in Kragnos
army. Then we've got the incantations or the endless spells, depending which they are. So we've got the Bloodrack Viper endless spell. On a 7, range of 9. Set the endless spell wholly within range of the caster. Only Daughters of Khaine wizards can attempt to summon it. Predatory. It can move 9 and fly. Obviously, you can double the range of this with, I think, one of the traits, which was like double the range of endless spells. After spells moved, the commanding player picks a unit within 1 inch, rolls 3 dice for each roll equal to or greater than the model's wounds. It's slain. So quite good because you could kill quite powerful models with that. There's no ward save. It's pretty good.
80 points, so they know it's good.
This is the end of the charge phase. The commanding player can count this end of spells on monster for monstrous rampages, but can only carry out stomp or smash to rubble. So that's actually really good because being able to actually smash someone's faction terrain
for free.
Like, imagine like a Gloomspite player just panicking that's heading towards their loot shrine.
Nasty, and it flies potentially 18. Yeah.
I mean, you could actually set it up if you had that bonus, you could actually have 27-inch range on that. So that's a 30 inches. If you're within 30 inches of your caster, you can smash their terrain because it's a 3-inch range on that rampage. Because you set it up 18 away, it moves 9, 3 inches.
Yeah, why not?
Quite good, actually. Quite techy. I like that anyway. I like the model. So.
Oh, it's a wicked model. Looks amazing in armies.
Blade Wind, end the spell again. Cast on 6, range of 9. Again, moves 12. And then it says, after the spell's moved, roll a dice for each unit that has any models it passed across for each other unit that is within 1 at the end of its move. On a 2+, it takes a mortal wound. Do not apply cover saves for attacks within 12. Yeah, whatever.
Take that. What's it, like 20 points? 50. Lol. Never not once. That.
Nope. Then you've got the Heart Fury, which is
like an emo album cover, doesn't it?
I know. It's a classic.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. It's answer on a 3, range 12. Set the invocation up. It's from priests, obviously. Start the combat phase. If it's on the table, roll a dice. 1 to 5. Subtract 1 for the damage inflicted to a minimum of 1 by each successful attack that targets the Daughters of Khaine unit in the commanding player's army holding within 12 of the invocation. So -1 damage.
Pretty how that good is from the lizards, don't we?
On a 6, subtract 1 from the damage, holding within 12, and add 1 to the attacks of your units. And then it's removed from play. So pretty good because it's very hard to get rid of these things, right? 45 points.
You can sneak that into an army, right?
That's in every list. Why would you not take that?
Great.
Like,
a lot of people can't interact with things like this as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get rid of it. Yeah, you might roll a 6. I know when I played Mike, he had it, and then he just popped the 6, and then it went off, and then he wasn't within range, and it dropped off the table. And he was like,
well, your opponent needs a priest to get rid of this, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not that common.
No.
At all.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is good.
That's everything. Points, that seems very cheap. Allies, cities, Idenef, Luminef, Stormcast, Sylvanef.
Yeah, Wicked Eyes Ball. Actually, that's not everything because we didn't cover the thingies that I always forget about.
The grand strategies. No, I didn't actually photograph them. I think I missed them.
So I will read them out.
All right.
Grand strategies. Bloodbath. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if all enemy heroes and monsters have at least 1 wound allocated to them or have been slain. Okay, skip. This is often what this page is like.
Are just skip, right? So
it's the battle tactics I'm interested about. So whether they're good or not
can be quite
really
impactful.
Swingy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Conquered in the name of Kane. When the battle ends, you compete it if there is a friendly avatar of Kane or Cauldron of Blood wholly within enemy territory. Yeah. Bloodthirsty Zealots. When the battle ends, you complete this. If all friendly units either fought at least once in the battle or have been destroyed, loads of ifs. Skip. Why wouldn't you just be taking battle line? Naught but destruction. One defensible terrain feature. I'm not even going to read that. So
is that a grand strategy? Was it?
Yeah, so we're looking at all that. Battle tactics, or murderous plots. Clash of Arms. You complete this tactic if 3 or more friendly units make a charge move this turn. If 2 or more of those units are witch elves or sisters, you score 1 additional victory point. It seems doable.
That's guaranteed, isn't it?
That's hilarious.
Because you get
+1 to charge frequently.
And and
a bonus point. Just why not?
Why not?
Okay. Cruel Delight. You complete this tactic if 2 or more friendly canary units move using their fire or flight. Oh my god, do you exist?
That's automatic, right?
That is automatic. That's stupid.
It says
you don't roll the
fire
dice.
and flight you don't roll, and they start in the sky and you drop them.
So as long as you drop within range to shoot, you're good.
And they're range 12. So you just drop them, shoot something.
So unless you drop them against the same unit of 5 models and you accidentally kill all of them, yeah.
So that's an automatic battle tactic. Nice.
Okay, this is already,
you're going to get straight.
This is already stupid. Tide of Blades. You complete this tactic if there are 2 or more units from your starting army wholly within your opponent's territory at the end of the turn. If 2 or more of those units are witch elves, you score 1 additional VP.
So that's basically the same as 2 in the enemy territory, but you get a bonus for having witch elves rather than monsters.
Great.
So
let's get some redundancy with an aggro army.
Why are these so good? Mine aren't this good.
I've got 1 in Nurgle, and then the rest are like, do you have a unit of drones in every quarter of the table?
Did you summon a Great and Clean one on an objective in their territory from a tree? Then you get a point.
Yeah. if it's contesting an objective, which means that you have to have made a charge or some. Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, Executioner's Cult. You can pick this battle tactic if there is a friendly high gladiatrix on the battlefield. Chances are high.
There probably is going to be one.
You complete this tactic if an enemy hero is slain by that unit's killing stroke ability this turn. Okay, hardest. They got one that's difficult. Hatred of Chaos. You pick this battle tactic if you have Hagnar or Keltnar army. You complete this if 2 or more Chaos units destroy this turn. Nice to have the option. Unexpected attack. You complete this tactic if a friendly Kaneite Shadow Stalkers unit uses its Shadow Leap ability and makes a charge move. Okay, so at least that one you have to make a charge. Those first 3 are a joke.
Yeah,
that's that. Like, why wouldn't you be getting 5 for 5 every single game with shit like that available if you have a Witch Elf army with some Canary in it? Both of those great units.
So what's the really good snake one? Is there a snake one?
No. Wait, the Shadow Stalkers.
No.
Oh,
okay. No, nothing.
All right.
Snakes.
And then we got some core battalions that
I can't take. Right. They
don't particularly care about. Oh, there's one that's got Doomfire Warlocks in it / 4 Canary.
I don't know why I
units.
didn't photograph these pages. I think maybe because I get into all this.
Well, because normally these aren't worth reading, but my god, those murderous ploys are.
So Vitprick Guard is Morathi, 3 Melusai,
1 minimum,
Blood
up to 3
Melusai, Iron Scale, and then up to 6 units of snakes.
Yeah, but it could be 2, and you get an enhancement. And the other one is 2 units of Warlocks and 4 units of Canary, and you can choose to either have 1-drop deployment, pointless, or you can have Swift, which is you can at the double afford to victory without a point being spent. If you've got those in your army, I mean, you might do that, but there's cheaper ways to get that currently.
I mean, I know you say it's pointless, but if you were going for like an MSU 2-drop army, you might have that and a regiment.
That's fair, yeah.
I know it's.
I mean, having 4 units of them isn't bad.
I mean, like 4 units of Canary and 2 units of Doomfire Warlocks is a good suite of effective models to have in any army. I think it what are the big,
no, you're right. That army you were talking about
would be what 380 points for those, and then the Warlocks.
So cheap. 2 times 145, 290.
So basically, you're looking at like what 800 points of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is all, and it's like 6 units.
Yeah.
Really good on objective play. Like
they are really good.
I mean,
I guess in an interesting non-meta army, that would be good.
Because if you were taking like Calibron and you went 3 units of Shadow Stalkers in my battle line, 2 units of Doomfire Warlocks, 4 units of Harpies, Morathi, and something, you're like, well, that's already pretty.
If you got points for it with Morathi in there, yeah, might be a squidge.
Well, she's 680, so
she's 680. You spent 700, so you got 600 points left for your battle line and 2-foot heroes. I think they're cheap in here. You're probably fine.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's not like the best army in the world, but I think it'd be really interesting.
It would legit be an interesting army. That's a fair point. Now we didn't. So that is the book.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your opinions of this? I was worried and I was justified.
I don't think it's probably as bad as you think, because there's so much stuff in the game now that's like amazing. So I think
I just don't want a book that encourages spam that flagrantly and blatantly. And why did the Gladiatrix go down? My God.
I think initially it does, but then I think the Witch Elf Horde army will go out of fashion fairly quickly, because I just don't think it really holds up against stuff that's running around at the moment.
No, it's still not about resilience. It wouldn't like to be shot.
It doesn't really.
They've never liked being shot.
Mortals. It doesn't really like. I think when it was like everyone had hordes of infantry and they shredded really well. I think the reroll ones to charge is massive. That loss, the change to blood rights not rerolling makes them way less reliable. I know they get +1, but that's way worse than a reroll.
I feel like comparatively, the snacks have just got a bit bashed down.
Yeah, but I still think they're good. Like I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, put these in not order, any of these things, and they're good.
But I still think I think they're a solid book. I still think they're A tier.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like dragons. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, and it's nice that there is I don't think there's a single war scroll. Maybe the sisters, but then they've still got a place because of the way they interact with pilings. I think there's not a single war scroll that you wouldn't take or consider, apart from maybe the Blade Wind. So, but actually, like, I quite like some of it. I mean, like the avatars, I actually quite like the idea of having avatars. Like, they actually seem really solid.
On the table. Yeah.
I mean, you can actually run 5 avatars if you took a cauldron and 4 avatars. That's your 5 behemoths. I mean, what avatars are 150?
Yeah, cheap.
I mean, like,
still get quite a lot of the rest of an army in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like having 4 Durfus running around. I mean, they're not quite the same, but they've got a shooting attack as well, and they've got a ward. Yeah. And they're movement 9 with a 10-inch shooting. That's 19-inch threat, and then they can charge. They've got damage 3, rend 2, 5 at ward innately. They're totems. They buff you.
It's a bit weird that the last turn thing isn't +1 to ward, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It might be intentional to stop you having a 4-up rollable or something stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I don't really want people having a re-rollable 5-up ward. So rerollable 6-up is good enough, or a 5-up. So, because obviously it's fanatical faith rolls you re-roll, not wards. So I think I might be intentional, because I think with all the ways to stack the blood rights, I think
that's fair.
You could get a 5-up re-rollable ward,
which we don't. We don't want
that. No one wants to see
back
that
in the game. No,
apart from maybe the Daughters players, but no.
I'm sure they got enough out of it.
Yeah,
especially the old school ones.
No, I do. I mean, I like it. I think some people will see it as a bit of a nerf with stuff like, I can't get my 3-unit harpies anymore.
Our base snakes don't feel as outrageous.
They still do the same thing though. I mean, like, they've still got the command ability to shoot in the hero phase. They've still got the same range. They still do mortals. There's no difference. They're actually entirely exactly the same. So there's no reason to think, these are bad now. They're not. They're fine.
Where's the command ability for that?
It's on the Morathi. But you've also got the other ways to do it. So Morathi's just got the command ability to make them shoot in the hero phase. So Morathi Kane, the little one. So friendly Daughters of Khaine unit can shoot or it can fight if it's in 3. So there's no reason to feel that they've got worse.
Oh, so what's changed is they can't be battle line unless they're in a that's
the same though.
Your general is a Melusite in
but that's
Zain.
the same because you'd always take
Kai.
You always take an Iron Scale, make her the general, then.
But Zamthar Kai is not very good, is it? So that's how that's been.
Well, no, because you don't need to be Zamthar Kai. It's either or. So
battle line in a Xanath Kai army, or if the general is Melusite. Okay, yeah.
So it's the same as it is now. And to be honest, Zamthar Kai is actually quite good because if you die, you get to fight again.
Which makes sense for those guys. That's not awful.
I think if you're playing a snake army, I would definitely take that one.
Yeah. Well, you want them as battle line if you are going to lump in big units to them, don't you?
Oh, yeah, but you can do that just having a Melusite general and just take Hagnar. So you don't need to be Zamthar Kai, but
yeah.
I think Keltnar's got a little less sexy now. You don't have a free unit of Harpies.
Yeah, it was always a bargain, wasn't it?
But then the command trait where you can't use Inspiring Presence or Rally within 9 is massive. Because so many armies who take infantry.
And you're going to bully, your army is an army that's going to bully people in combat. So,
I mean, you imagine if you played Skaven or Bone Splitters or something, and you're just just go in and you're like, no rally for you, no Inspiring Presence, just take them all off, we'll run away.
Or Nighthaunt.
Or another Daughters army who didn't take that.
yeah. Get in the mirror.
The general's going to be prime target to kill. But then I quite like what they've done with the blood rights from the Melusai heroes, that the wizards, whatever they're called, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forget the name. Looking at it, still can't.
Bloodstalker.
Completely blind to it.
Skull, Emo Heart.
Bloodrack Medusa. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloodrack Shrine, Bloodrack Medusa. So they can obviously advance the table. And then if you've got, you can use the Cauldron or the Hag Witch Brew to advance the table.
Yeah.
And then you've got Hagnar to advance the table, and you've got a Prayer to advance the table. So you could.
I guess we have to see what, given that the power level in the game has gone up, as has the damage level. I guess we have to see how, 90 witches could weather that, whether they are, just.
I think for me, I think it brings them into AOS 3. I think at the moment in AOS 3, there's one build really in Daughters with a couple variant units, but basically
with 200 points of variation. Yeah.
And what I think this does, that army is still there. And all this does is open up another couple other armies. So I don't necessarily have any big issues with the power level of this book. I don't think it's going to be so good it wipes everyone off the table. It's going to be effective.
Yeah.
But every army should be effective.
It's not jumped in at Seraphon level, and it's got really good internal balance.
And although some of the stuff seems cheap, the points really add up.
I think the moment you have Morathi in there, they do, and you generally do have her in there. So,
but even if you take 3 units of 90 Witch Elves, right? That's what, 1,000 points.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then you take Morathi,
950 or something.
Then you want a High Gladiatrix. Then you want a Hag, a Cauldron. You're basically 1 Gladiatrix, a Cauldron, 3 units of 30 Witch Elves, and Morathi. You're probably at 2,000. So then you'll start doing stuff like, I'll drop 1 unit of 30 to put some Canary in, or I'll do, so you suddenly start watering the army down. And as soon as you've got a Cauldron and you've got Morathi, you can't be a 1-drop because you can't fit, because the Cauldron's a leader with more than 10 wounds. So
yeah,
and Morathi comes with, so
points haven't changed that much. So I just put in Shadow Queen, Morathi, Kane, Hag Queen on Cauldron of Blood, 30, 30, 30. That's 1995.
Yeah. So you're going to have to drop some Witch Elves to put the Gladiatrix in, and then you're like, does that make enough difference to have that hero in range? So it's like, is it actually that bad? Like,
yeah.
No,
so that's fair.
I think you might see 20s of Witch Elves. to get the extra bits in. But I generally, I know it sounds really good. Like you go, oh yeah, they hit on freeze and freeze, and they got rend. But a lot of people just don't care. They just don't care. They're just like, yeah.
Nurgle wouldn't care, but I'm thinking more like Beast of Chaos just got a bump. But if you go into them and you hit them before they hit you, are you just gonna muller Beast Claw Raiders or things like that? You're just gonna be like, okay, well you did your damage, or you didn't reach me, and I can reach you because I'm pretty fast, not as fast or as reliable as you used to be.
Get on the edges, or there's a lot of stuff in the game that's really good against infantry, and you don't see it much because people don't take it because like there aren't many infantry armies. So having an infantry army come back into the fold. But it's the same with like Drake Ganaf, right? So it allows you to have up to like more reinforced units, but you just can't afford them.
Yeah, I think I've just fiddled a bit. You could get roughly very quick maths, but you could get Morathi, Cauldron of Blood, 2 Gladiatrix, 20 Witch Elves, 5 Heart Renders, 5 Heart Renders. You could get that in 2000. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
probably. That's pretty good army. 110 wounds, very standard. 10 drops could be 2 drops you wanted.
Yeah
2 or 3 drops.
So I don't see it as like I've played against Daughters a fair bit in AOS 3, and like I find the game is like good and interactive, and it's Morathi is a puzzle onto itself.
She's a force, isn't she?
But because I played with my Deepkin Daughters twice now, once at Hampshire and once at the.
You got shooting options there, though, haven't you? Which is quite helpful against her.
Even when I played combat, I never felt that Daughters were like an out there army because I played them in OS 3 with OBR, and I didn't feel like they were hard. For me, it's always been comfy. So
it's always been the scenarios where Morathi's just. Like that combination of a helpful Morathi scenario, which is like walk to the middle of the table and exist, and you being the opponent to the Daughters having an army that's like, I got to get there and hit you in combat. They're the ones where I think the book's always felt the most extreme. Yeah,
I think it's a good book. I mean, obviously, it's just like it's an AOS, what I'd call an AOS 3 patch. So patches the book up to 3, brings the new war scrolls in. Takes some of the unnecessary rolling out the game, which is nice. So I don't hate the change to blood rights. I know the Heat Saver, the Gladiatrix is really cheap, really good. 90 points, 100 points, it probably doesn't make any difference because like you're gonna fit it in. It probably doesn't break your army at 2k. You might have one less thing, but if it was 110 points, you're still gonna have it, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't
really still be 130, and no one would be like, that's too expensive, though, right? Like, it would be nice if things were fairly pointed, appropriately pointed.
Yeah, I think it just makes the hag a little bit like, but then like she does advance the blood rights with Brew, and it's automatic now.
I guess time will tell.
So we'll see. I think that's basically the battle tome. I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I'm not a big Daughters fan, but I do have a Snake army that I put to lockdown, but I never played with it. But I just think that the book's solid. It's always been solid, still solid. It's nice to see some of the other units come into the fore, be useful. The avatars, I think, are quite exciting. I think they'll be quite good to see on the table, particularly with the new Eldar model that you can convert it out of. So don't use the one on the shrine; it's boring.
I don't use it 5 times.
No, they're all like that. We're avatars.
Having been playing with Beta Nurgle, anything that's that distinctive, and you've got more than one of it, it looks a bit silly.
It looks a bit silly, yeah. It almost looks like table football. Like they're all like that. Bar with swinging. Like this could have like your midfield. Would be funny.
Hi guys.
Call it the foosball list. Or they all hold hands. Hands across Age of Sigma. Like that.
Just run in front of your army. Like ladies.
Just holding hands running on.
Why not?
Double clothesline avatars, that's what you want. But anyway, that's the book review. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to pre-order it, you can click through the link below. Go to Element Games. If you've got any ideas for lists or thoughts on what you think is really good or really bad now, if you're a Daughters player and you're unhappy or happy, just let us know below. It's always interesting to hear people's thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reactions. I think if I was a Daughters player, I wouldn't be upset. I think my models are still viable. some of the stuff I might have in my collection might see the table now. If I had a Witch Elf army from AOS 2, I'd then be very happy. If I had a Melusai army, I might be like, but it's still kind of the same, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's nice to get an excuse to mix it up as well. Like,
yeah,
obviously it's convenient to not have to change a single thing, but what's the point in a new book?
No, exactly.
If that's the case, yeah.
And those battle tactics are really good, so.
That page shouldn't be. Can we not use those FACEHAMMER? They're ridiculous.
No, it's fine. Like, everyone's got battle tactics in it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
No,
some are better than others.
But then they're good at objectives, so who knows? So, anyway, thanks for watching, and join us immediately for the Nighthaunt review on the same channel, so you can just go check that out. And we've got some other videos coming out shortly, so check those out as well.
They've got some events coming as well.
Yeah, going to Carnage, and I'm actually going to Brotherhood now. I'm on a team.
Yeah, cool.
So I've been sequestered by the Ninja Badgers or the Dorset team, whatever they're called.
You been drafted in after a good performance last time.
Yeah, although looking back at the games, I think I had quite a easy run of it. So
all right for some.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's fine. I'll beat up destruction all day. It's fine.
Do it. Why not?
Right. Okay. Right. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all soon.
Cheers, guys. Catch you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.